Robert.
I didn't do this stuff. This is not me, y'all. I'm fighting for my life. Y'all me with this. I gave y'all 30 years of my career.
Robert.
30 years of my career. Y'all trying to me. You me, man. This is not about music. I'm trying to have a relationship with my kids.
We've all heard the R. Kelly story. The trials, the convictions, the decades of allegations that finally caught up with him. But what if the real story right now isn't about what R. Kelly did, but about what he knows? While the world focused on locking him away, few noticed that he may be holding information explosive enough to threaten two of hip-hop's most untouchable figures. And no, this isn't recycled gossip or old headlines. We're talking about recent court filings, prison whispers, and timing so suspicious it's impossible to ignore. R. Kelly isn't just fighting for freedom anymore. He's allegedly sitting on a stockpile of secrets, and the men tied to his downfall, Jay-Z and Diddy, may be far more nervous than they appear.
R. Kelly was saying that Jay-Z funded his downfall plus the documentary.
Just last week, R. Kelly's legal team filed a bombshell motion claiming there's an active plot to silence him permanently. These aren't vague accusations. The filing alleges prison officials are working with white supremacist gangs to ensure Kelly never makes it out alive. The timing matters. This comes right after Kelly allegedly started signaling that he has damaging information on powerful people. He collapsed in his cell, was hospitalized, and his team claims he was intentionally overdosed. Now he's in solitary confinement, cut off from communication. His lawyers say this is a hit job, a move to shut him up before he talks. The government dismissed it as a fanciful conspiracy. But history tells us dismissiveness often shows up when something bigger is being protected.
I think that they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public to make up their...
Now look at the larger picture. Diddy's conviction. After decades of rumors, settlements, and lawsuits, the feds finally moved. Why now? Why does it line up with R. Kelly's prison filings? Kelly's lawyers aren't just alleging an assassination attempt. They're hinting he holds information capable of rewriting the narrative of hip-hop's darkest era. And Jay-Z cannot be ignored. He didn't just distance himself from Kelly after the Best of Both Worlds tour imploded. He allegedly helped bankroll the documentary. That sealed Kelly's public execution. Surviving R. Kelly wasn't just storytelling, it was a takedown. And the timeline is chilling. Kelly convicted in 2021. Diddy indicted in 2024. Now in 2026, Kelly's attorneys are filing motions about silencing and government cover-ups, while Jay-Z's name keeps surfacing around federal scrutiny. That's not random. That's a pattern.
Jay-Z got his whooped by his sister-in-law on camera. What's her name? Solange. You gotta imagine, the feds ain't step in and do nothing. The feds don't care about you getting your ass whooped.
This goes back to the Best of Both Worlds tour. The chaos, the pepper spray, the canceled shows. But what if that tour wasn't just a failure? What if it was the moment Jay-Z realized Kelly knew too much? Jay-Z didn't just walk away, he erased the association. Then years later, allegedly backed a documentary that ensured Kelly would never be heard again. That feels less like justice and more like containment. And it raises an uncomfortable question. Why did Jay-Z walk away untouched? Remember Nas's interview with Wendy Williams, where he openly questioned how Jay-Z could work so closely with Kelly and claim ignorance. That wasn't a diss, it was a warning. And now, with talk of freak-off parties, hidden footage, and shared rooms, it's clear Diddy didn't operate alone. Power in hip-hop isn't just money, it's secrets. And if R. Kelly still holds them, that may explain why keeping him silent suddenly feels so urgent.
witness, a compelling witness for the prosecution, said that she actually walked in on R. Kelly performing a sex act with Aaliyah when she was either 13 or 14 years old. We then heard from one of his employees that at the age of 15, he bribed an official in Illinois to get a fake ID so that Aaliyah could marry R. Kelly at the time, who was 27.
So here's what we're left with. A convicted predator in solitary confinement claiming there's a hit out on his life. A freshly convicted mogul sitting in a cell waiting on sentencing. And a billionaire rapper who somehow managed to stay above it all, except for the fact that his name keeps surfacing alongside federal investigations and decades-old scandals. And the wildest part, this still isn't even half the story, because while everyone is focused on trials, convictions, and headlines, no one is talking about the one thing that could blow everything wide open. What happens if R. Kelly starts talking? And more importantly, who is really afraid of what he might say? Because if hip-hop's darkest chapters have taught us anything, it's this. The men at the top didn't get there by playing fair, and they won't stay there by telling the truth.
I want you to think about this. Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce.
Now this is where it gets even more interesting, because while the spotlight stays locked on Diddy's trial and Jay-Z's alleged involvement, few are asking the right questions about the one name that connects them all, Aaliyah. She wasn't a footnote in R. Kelly's story. She was the beginning. And if you think Jay-Z and Diddy don't have chapters in that saga, you haven't been paying attention. Aaliyah's name keeps resurfacing in strange ways. Damon Dash allegedly refusing to executive produce Best of Both Worlds Unless Profits went to the Aaliyah Foundation. Jay-Z allegedly ignoring red flags about Kelly's behavior even after her death. And Diddy being the one who introduced Kelly to Aaliyah in the first place. That's not coincidence. That's a shared history. And it explains why, after all these years, the one name that still makes these men uncomfortable is the one they all share.
If you're a halfway intelligent person, when do you start questioning how lucky some niggas keep getting?
Right.
Then there's the surviving R. Kelly documentary, the moment everything starts to feel staged. That project didn't just appear, it was funded. And if the rumors are true, Jay-Z wasn't just watching from the sidelines. He was allegedly pulling strings behind the scenes. So ask yourself this. Why would a man obsessed with protecting a pristine brand involve himself in such a ruthless takedown? Unless he had something to gain or something to hide. Jay-Z didn't just distance himself from Kelly after their tour collapsed. He erased him. And years later, he allegedly helped finance the one thing that ensured Kelly would never be heard again. That doesn't feel like justice. It feels like containment. And if Kelly's lawyers are right, if there truly is an effort to silence him, then Jay-Z's fingerprints may not be far from it. The timeline says it all. Kelly convicted in 2021, Diddy indicted in 2024, and now in 2026, assassination claims and government misconduct filings surface while Jay-Z's name keeps appearing in federal whispers. That isn't random. That's pressure.
Like the days before the event, he was getting threats that he felt like was coming from Jay-Z. Like Jay-Z was trying to basically...
And we can't ignore the Best of Both Worlds tour, because that's where the story turns into a ticking time bomb. That tour was chaos. Kelly claimed he was receiving serious threats. Jay-Z's crew allegedly sabotaged his performances. Then came Madison Square Garden. Kelly said someone pulled a gun on him. He was pepper sprayed by someone connected to Jay-Z, and just like that, the tour ended. So ask the obvious question. Why go that far to shut him down? Unless there was fear of what he might say or what he might remember. Jay-Z didn't just walk away from that tour, he ran. And now R. Kelly isn't just a disgraced singer. He's a man with nothing left to lose. If he's telling the truth, if there's a real effort to silence him, the question isn't if he'll talk, it's when, and who will still be standing when he does.
Sweetest person you can know, very intelligent. She knew what she was about and she knew what she wanted to do with her life.
And that's where the story takes its darkest turn. Because when you talk about secrets, you can't ignore the one name that ties Jay-Z, Diddy, and R. Kelly together in a way that still sends chills. Aaliyah. We all know the story. The illegal marriage at 15, the fake ID, the rushed annulment, the years spent trying to erase it from history. But what no one wants to confront is how Jay-Z and Diddy are woven into that legacy. Not as innocent bystanders, but as men who allegedly benefited from the silence that followed. Aaliyah wasn't just Kelly's victim. She was a pawn in a much bigger game, one built on power, record deals, and a level of silence that only exists when the people at the top have something to hide.
It's malicious. But maybe that was because he was the girl that didn't want you.
Oh.
Let's start with Damon Dash, because he's the one who refused to play along. When Jay-Z and Kelly were putting together Best of Both Worlds, Dash, Jay's own business partner at the time, allegedly drew a hard line. He didn't just walk away. He demanded that any profits go directly to the Aaliyah Foundation. Why would he do that unless he knew something the rest of US didn't? Unless the red flags were impossible to ignore and he wanted no part of it, Jay-Z, however, allegedly didn't hesitate. He moved forward with Kelly anyway, even after Aaliyah's tragic death, even after the rumors, even after the industry knew exactly who Kelly was. That's not just disrespect, that's calculation. Because Jay-Z didn't just ignore the warnings, he allegedly profited from them. And if that doesn't make your stomach turn, ask yourself this. What else was he willing to overlook for the right price?
I don't think they are scared of him. I think they more so, they don't want him to embarrass their reputation and things that they've been known for. You understand?
Then there's Diddy, the man who allegedly introduced Kelly to Aaliyah in the first place. We may not know every detail of that introduction, but we do know this. Diddy helped elevate Kelly in the 90s. He opened doors, created access, and allegedly helped build an environment where a man like Kelly could operate without consequences. And when the rumors surfaced, when lawsuits stacked up, Diddy didn't immediately cut ties. He allegedly kept working with him. Because in this industry, talent beats morality, until it doesn't. Until the FBI shows up. Until documentaries start rolling out. Until saving yourself means sacrificing someone else. And isn't it interesting how Diddy's downfall began right as Kelly's legal saga was closing? Almost like the feds were climbing the ladder one rung at a time.
So what happens now is this is simply a civil complaint. And in a civil complaint, it goes through the technical legal process. Now, the distinction, Jessica, between civil and criminal, of course, is that civil is for monetary damages, right? The system can only reward you with money. There's allegations that this 13-year-old is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, suffered depression, etc. So now you go to fact find.
But this gets even uglier. Because this isn't just about Aaliyah anymore. It's about a system. One Jay-Z and Diddy didn't just benefit from, but allegedly helped build. They didn't merely witness the industry's dark side. They monetized it. Jay-Z's rise was sold as a self-made story, a man who escaped the streets. But what if he never really left them behind? What if he brought the same ruthless code into the boardroom? When you look at how Kelly was allegedly treated, first a partner, then a liability, then a target, it starts to feel less like business and more like a takedown. And Diddy, he allegedly didn't just host parties, he ran an operation so controlled that women like Cassie Ventura weren't just present, they were positioned. That's what makes Kelly's prison filings so disturbing. Because if he's telling the truth, this isn't just about what he knows, it's about what was done to make sure he could never speak. And let's be clear, Jay-Z allegedly didn't support surviving Kelly out of principle. He saw a chance to rewrite history to keep his name clean while Kelly was erased. But now the cracks are showing. Testimony, recordings, threats, it all points to a reckoning. And if Kelly really has proof, receipts showing who was in the room when it happened, then this story isn't close to over.
And we do have some breaking news that we want to bring to you. It was being reported by TMZ and now Fox News. We are learning that Jay-Z is accused of a 13-year-old girl. That is new in the Diddy lawsuit.
Now let's talk about the money, because that's where the real motive lives. Jay-Z didn't just leave the streets behind. He allegedly turned them into a blueprint. He took the rules of the hustle and applied them to the music industry. Control the product, control distribution, and never let anyone get close enough to see how it's really made. When Kelly became a liability, he allegedly didn't just cut ties, he helped erase him. Because in that world, there's no room for loose ends, and Diddy, he allegedly didn't just throw parties, he built an empire around them. The so-called freak-off gatherings weren't just about excess. They were about leverage, about having something on everyone who walked through the door, so no one could ever turn on him without destroying themselves. And when the law finally caught up, it wasn't just a conviction, it was exposure. The one thing none of them counted on was someone like Cassie Ventura deciding she'd had enough. But here's the real danger if Kelly's claims are real. If he's truly sitting on a vault of secrets, the thing that could bring everything down isn't a tape or a witness. It's a paper trail. Men like Jay-Z and Diddy didn't survive this long by being careless. They survived by documenting everything. Contracts, wire transfers, NDAs, dates, timelines. But paper trails don't vanish forever. And if Kelly has access to records, who paid who was present, and when, then it's not just the FBI paying attention. Because the one thing powerful men fear more than prison is exposure. And if there really is a plot to silence him, that tells you how dangerous his knowledge might be. This is why the story is bigger than one man's downfall. It's not just about R. Kelly, or Diddy, or Jay-Z. It's about an industry built on silence, complicity, and the belief that money could bury anything forever. But secrets don't stay buried. And when they surface, they don't collapse one pillar. They bring the whole structure down. Hip-hop's darkest chapters taught us one thing. The men at the top didn't get there by playing fair. They got there by making sure no one could touch them. Until now. So here's where we leave you. The trials may be ending. The headlines may be moving on. But the most dangerous question is still hanging in the air. What if R. Kelly isn't just the villain? What if he's the witness? And what if the men who helped put him away are the ones with the most to lose? Because power hates being challenged. And right now, R. Kelly might be the only man left who can challenge it.do. You think he's bluffing? Or do you think he's holding the one card that can finally break the silence? Because in a game this dirty, the only thing more dangerous than the truth is the person willing to tell it. And if Kelly's telling the truth, then this story is only just beginning. Stay sharp, stay alert, and keep your eyes open, because in this world, the next scandal is always one headline away.